Hello. Welcome to Bubchi Babble, a podcast where I am talking about cozy games and cozy-ish games. In today's episode, I will be talking about what I'm excited that is being released in November, what I played in October. I played a whole lot of games. I'm going to do a little mini review of a game that I actually finished in October. Love to finish things. It's hard to do. And I'm also going to be talking about my first impressions from briefly playing Infinity Nikki during the beta, and also my hopes and fears regarding the Infinity Nikki release, since that game is not out yet, but I am very excited for it. So I'm going to talk about all of that and more. First, starting off with November releases. So I'm going to tell you my top 10, and I believe I will be, well, not I believe, I am recording this on November 10th, so November has already started, so a couple of the games on this list will have already released by the time I put this video out, but a lot of them also haven't come out yet, and let's just talk about them. So first, on November 1st, A Walk with Yiayia released. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be looking over here a bunch because I have my laptop set up here with the slides, so you can see what I'm looking at here, and I'm going to be looking at it over here. So if I'm staring this way, that's what I'm looking at. Anyway, A Walk with Yiayia is actually not a new game, and I've actually heard of this game before, and I totally forgot about it until I saw that the Switch version is being released this month. It's already been released. And I'm going to swipe on over here. Oop, wrong tab. That was a spoiler, but I'm going to swipe on over here so I can show you a little bit more about Walk with Yiayia. We can just take a look at the description together. So this is a heartfelt adventure game about taking your grandmother on a walk after she's lost her confidence from a scary fall. No fail states, low stress, and an emotional story connecting the experiences between first-generation immigrants and their family members, reflecting on what they can learn from each other's experiences. So I think this is very much my kind of game. I love games that have low stakes, that are very story focused, narrative focused, that have emotion in them. Yeah. So I have heard about this game a long time ago, like I said, and I think at the time I was like, oh, I should play this. And now that it's released on Switch, I'm like, oh, I really should play this. It just looks extremely up my alley. And this is probably one of the games on this list that I am the most excited to try and probably will play soon because I believe it's also a shorter game. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like when I looked at the Steam reviews, I'm not on Steam here now, but I think it's fairly short, like 1 or 2 hour experience, which is nice because, sometimes you want something short that you can actually finish, you know what I mean? Also in November, a game that just recently came out a few days ago, Magical Bakery. Now, I heard about this one from a lot of other cozy content creators who've been talking about it, like Josh's Gaming Garden. I think he maybe streamed the demo, and this wasn't a game that would have been on my radar initially because when I first looked at the character portraits and just this is kind of, superficial, but I just looked at the banner art on Steam and it just didn't really appeal to me. But after seeing Josh's stream of it, I actually got really interested in this game. So let me tell you more about it. So it came out on November 7th. It's out on Switch, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, I think. And this game, in this game, you experience a life full of magic, challenges, and the joy of creating sweets that will leave a spellbinding impression on your customers. Become the ultimate magical baker and prove yourself worthy to inherit the magical bakery. So I am kind of on a cooking sim kick, so to speak. And I'll talk a little more about that when I cover the games that I played last month. And what I've been into, but I think I've just been more interested lately in exploring cooking games and games with Diner Dashy vibes almost, because I did used to love playing that kind of stuff when I was a kid. I don't know if anyone knows, there was a Diner Dash type game that was Disney themed, that was on a Disney website or something. I think you were playing as Goofy or some other Disney character, and I just remember being mildly obsessed with that game. Anyway, that's a tangent. But Magical Bakery is appealing to me for that reason, and also because I just love anything that has magical themes and fantasy and witches and wizards. This game has a lot of purple in it. I love purple. Don't know if you could tell, but I do love purple. I heard. Um, this is another tangent, but someone said that people who like the color purple can't shut. I can't talk today. People who like the color purple cannot shut up about purple. Like they will let you know that they love purple. And I guess I'm fulfilling that stereotype. So yeah. Anyway, this game, I'm really happy to see has like mostly like it's positive reviews, but it doesn't have a lot of reviews yet. So I definitely want to check it out. I feel like I'm seeing like good things overall in terms of what people are saying about it. Cute bakery game with a witchy vibe. I mean, heck yeah. And yeah, it looks like some people are putting in like 25 hours. I mean, that's a good amount of time for a game, you know? So I am still very excited for this now that it's out, and I'm seeing that the reviews so far are good. I feel like this has risen up my list of wanting to play soon. The only reason I'm not going to let myself buy it soon is because I still have other games like this that I already own that I should play first. So maybe I will get to this after I finish those other games, like Lemon Cake and Calico are games kind of like this, where you're kind of running a cafe or you're running, you know, bakery or food place of some sort. And I feel like I should probably play those before I get a new one. But yeah, this is definitely probably maybe will be my next purchase in that genre. Ooh, I keep scrolling over to the wrong screen. So that's Magical Bakery. The next game that, sorry, my fingers are very clicky. The next game that this actually isn't out yet by of the time of recording this. It might be out when I upload this video, because November 12th is tomorrow, I think. I don't know. I've like lost track of the date fully. Like last week was a blur. So that's Magical Bakery, and the next game that I wanted to discuss was Everholm. And this game is actually, I think, coming out tomorrow, because I'm recording this on the 10th. Oh wait. Sorry, y'all, I literally just had to check the date right now. I'm recording this on the 11th, so this will be out tomorrow, which is very, very exciting. So this will probably be out already by the time you see this video. This game is coming out for PC, and you might have heard of it. I feel like it's kind of caused a little bit of a stir in the cozy gaming space. Let's take a look at the game description. So, Lily was spirited away to a mysterious island. As her memories fade, everyone seems to know her and her quest for her missing sister. It's time to establish a homestead, meet your friendly Everfolks, then learn their secrets and solve the mystery of Everholm in this open-ended minimalist RPG. Now, there are a couple of things that stand out to me here. One, I love the idea that there's this kind of mystery afoot. This sounds like it's going to be quite a story-driven game, and I love that. I love a good plot in my games in general, but also in my like farming sims or cozy games. I do love a good plot. I have like rare instances where I don't want a game with a plot because I just want to kind of like mindlessly play something. But for the most part, I always want a story, so I'm happy to see this game has one. I also just think the art style of this game is so beautiful. Like I have no notes. Like I think I love this art style. It really appeals to me. I know not everyone likes pixel art, but for me, I love it, and I think this art looks really beautiful. I also really love what I just read out. Like it said it's a minimalist RPG. And I have like more thoughts and thinking on this because I've recently been playing an RPG, WitchSpring R, and I'll talk more about that when I talk about like what I've been playing this past month. But playing that has just made me think a lot about like RPGs as a genre and kind of like quality of life things that can just make them more of a pleasing experience to play, and it just makes me wonder why more games don't do that. So anyway, when I see minimalist RPG, it makes me really excited because I think I really, especially now being an adult, like our time is valuable, and I really appreciate games that respect your time. And when it comes to RPGs, I think they can be known to be very grindy. And now keep in mind, I love a good grind. I'm not someone who dislikes grind per se, but I do think there's a difference between like satisfying and fun grind and just like annoying grind. And there's like a fine line there that I actually want to interrogate, and like maybe I'll talk about that in a future episode or future video, but it interests me like what is the difference between a good grind and a bad grind. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that. I like thinking about this a lot, and I do think just from casual discussions with people, I think it's something that's very subjective for sure. I don't think there's like a surefire, like this is good grind, this is bad. But I do think there's also some general principles that some games follow that make it more of a good grind than with others. But yeah, anyway, I think that's what makes Everholm exciting to me, is that if it truly is a minimalist RPG, it's hopefully shaving away like the annoying parts and just keeping what's good. And I love that. The next game here is Nightstones, and this is also coming out on the same day as Everholm. It's coming out in 2 days from the time of recording this. And let me tell you a little bit about Nightstones. It's coming out on PC, and in Nightstones you awaken in Mythica, a cozy island where magical stones change day to night. Explore winding paths or venture into the wilds with your trusty glider and sailboat. To return home, you must befriend quirky townsfolk, discover hidden treasures, master magic, and face enemies in clever puzzle combat. So yeah, Nightstones is a game that, like, it took me by surprise. Like, I hadn't really heard of it till recently, and then I saw it, and I was like, oh, this looks really good. And I wish it had been on my radar sooner. Or it should have been on my radar sooner, I feel. I mean, I'm glad it's on my radar now. I've heard people like kind of comparing it to not Night in the Woods, comparing it to a short hike. And a short hike is just like a wonderful, lovely little cozy gem of a game. I feel like it's such a classic, and any game that's compared to a short hike immediately goes into my list of like I have to check it out, essentially. And yeah, I love the like cute 3D art style I'm seeing here. One thing I'm not sure about is the puzzles. I'm very like picky when it comes to my puzzles. So I wonder if this will have the kind of puzzles I like. I wonder how heavy the puzzling will be. But I'm definitely very, very, very interested in this game. Very excited. This is coming out on the same day as Everholm, so it's making me think like, which would I choose if I could only choose one? Realistically, I'm probably not going to be buying too many of the new games on this list, like in terms of the November releases, just because I already have a lot of games that I still need to finish and games that I bought last month. I'll talk more about that soon, but if I had to choose between Nightstones and Everholm, I feel like right now it's Everholm because that's just what I'm feeling. But yeah. So next we have debut project Cooking Café. This is a game coming out to Switch and PC, and it's coming out on November 14th. And y'all, I'm really surprised that I haven't heard anything about this before, because it looks really good for people who like Cooking Mama and stuff. So let me look at the description here and tell you a little more. So the description says, whip up like-worthy meals and get tons of fans at a stylish cafe. Okay, simple. But yeah, I think this game just has a really, it looks like it could be like a DS game, you know what I mean? And that is very appealing to me. Now, I didn't actually play much Cooking Mama, to be fair. I don't know, for some reason, I don't think I was interested in cooking when I was younger. I am more interested now, and like I said, I've been very interested in cooking-oriented games in general, so I got really excited when I saw that this was coming out soon, because it just looks like a cute little relaxing game. And it looks like you could like draw and decorate your food too, which is nice, and there's a whole social media aspect. It's kind of reminds me of like, it's like Fashion Dreamer, but like it's for cooking, I guess, because Fashion Dreamer is also about like being kind of like a influencer, is it not? I'm not sure. I haven't actually played Fashion Dreamer yet. But yeah, honestly, this game just looks like a really great chill time, and I'm really excited to see what people think once it releases. Next, another game that's coming out on November 14th. I feel like there's a couple games on this date. And this game is called Miniatures, and I've actually talked about it before in a previous video. If you tuned into my last episode of this podcast, Babble, I actually got to try a demo of this game at Tokyo Game Show. And I'm so excited to hear that it's going to be releasing so soon because I loved the demos so much. And it's coming out to Switch, PC, and mobile. I don't remember if I already said that. And let me tell you a little bit more about miniatures. It's a collection of strange tales where childhood imagination and reality merge with darker undercurrents of mystery and magic. Explore a vast seascape, build odd furniture, feed a lizard, and play with sandcastles. So, this game, I think I played through 2 of the vignettes. I don't know if I played through them in full, but this game is like a series of vignettes. And they were just so beautiful. If you want to hear more, maybe like check out my last episode of bubchi babble. I'll link it somewhere here and probably link it at the end of this video too. Because I did like a whole section. You can just skip to the chapter of that if you just want to know what I thought. But I loved it and I am absolutely going to play this at some point for sure. I think if you like narrative games and just like I don't know, this game had such a poetic vibe. It wasn't literally like poetry, but I just feel like this is the type of game that feels like poetry, if that makes sense. Next, another game on November 14th, and this one is Petit Island. It's coming out for Switch, PC, PlayStation, Xbox. And I mean, this game is like, if you just look at the trailer, it like looks. I mean, look at how the cat trots around. Like, it's just so freaking cute. And I think I also like this game because I believe like one of the main mechanics is picture taking. And yeah, this game reminds me of Alba. Alba, a wildlife adventure? Is that what it's called? I forget what the full title of the game Alba is. But if you know Alba, it's like a game about a little girl who's like exploring her town and like doing things to like kind of help clean up her town and like take care of the environment there, and you take pictures of birds and stuff. I feel like that wasn't a very good description of the game, but it's a beautiful game. And this game really reminds me of that in a very, very good way because I loved Alba. So if you played Alba, I feel like you should pay attention to this game too. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. So, welcome to the beautiful and tropical Petit Island. Relive your grandpa's youthful adventures by exploring the island and meeting all of the unique islanders in this heartwarming, open-world, narrative exploration game. Preserve his memories before they fade away. So, of course, this game also has a more, like you're reliving or you're preserving your grandpa's memories, which is also, very beautiful. So, I don't know, this game just feels like it has a lot of heart. I'm very, very excited to see how people enjoy this game when it comes out, I guess. But I feel like this just looks like it's going to be a good time. And I honestly I'm on board. Okay. We still have a few more games to get through. So MySims, the Cozy Bundle, is coming out on Switch. I feel like you've probably heard people talk about this one before. And this is coming out on November 19th. But let me tell you, I played MySims Kingdom when I was a kid, and it was one of my favorite games. Like, I was obsessed with it. I think I replayed it a bunch of times. I wished for more. And I think at the time when I was a kid, I just didn't know that there were so many other MySims games, because there's like MySims Agents, and there's MySims, the original one, that is part of this bundle, but I never actually played it. I only played MySims Kingdom. But yeah, MySims Kingdom was I loved the art style. It was all cute and blocky. The characters were so quirky and whimsical. And I loved the decorating. At least when I was a kid, I felt like it was just very fun. And it was definitely my gateway into getting into the like mainline Sim series and then getting into like decorating houses in there. So I feel like this was like the slope that took me there. So yeah, this game, I don't know. I think I told you all you need to know about it. But it just looks like MySims Kingdom is the one I'm definitely the most excited about. I'm not sure about the MySims, but I'm hoping that I will enjoy it, because then I'll get to like I'll get to visit and play something that I would have liked to play when I was a kid, and I can finally play it now. So yeah, I don't know if I will be buying this on release though, just because it is a little bit expensive. It's like $40, and I don't know, I have bought a lot of games already recently, so this might be a next year thing for me, but I definitely have to play MySims Kingdom again. It's like compulsory for me. Next, we have on November 21st, On Your Tail, which is coming to Switch and PC. I feel like in there's the Slow Burn podcast, which is like a cozy gaming podcast. And if you haven't listened to it, you should totally check it out. I'm obsessed with that podcast, but I feel like on there they've been calling this like the furry game. I don't, I mean, it has anthropomorphic animals in it. I don't think it's necessarily a furry game. I think it's fine if it is too. I don't know. Um, I definitely am drawn to it because of the animal characters because I love anthropomorphic animals. I love normal animals. I just love things with animals in them. And this game just looks um really interesting. I don't know, like it has like this whole detective thing going on. Let me read the description. I'm just babbling. Which is I guess the reason why I titled this podcast the thing I did. So, you know what? I need to pause. I need to like take a sip. Okay. So on your tail. Welcome to the perfect vacation getaway, Borgo Marina. Be warned, there's mysteries around every corner in this Italian paradise. Befriend the locals, find clues, and play your cards right to uncover the town's secrets in this story-driven adventure. So, like I said, I love a good story, so this is story-driven. It has animals. It's set in like an Italian town. I mean, all of it just sounds great to me. It sounds super fun, and I think the visual style looks very, very good. Like, it just looks pleasant. Um, and yeah, I don't know. This is like kind of like a game that I probably won't play anytime soon if I'm being honest, and not because it doesn't appeal to me, but just because I feel like I keep saying this, but I just have too many things. I've been playing too many things. Next game on the list is Critter Café. This is coming out on November 26th, so it's coming out a little later than the other games on here. And it's coming to Switch and PC. So this is a game where you run a cafe and more. So here it says, "Welcome to your Critter Cafe. Rescue and bond with adorable fantasy critters in need of your help and build a new home together. Design and run your own cafe, care for your critters, uncover the secrets of mysterious portals, and create a wholesome cafe for all to enjoy." Okay, so I saw, who did I see? I saw Cozy K, if you know her. I love her channel so much. I saw her play this game's demo, I think. And I think before I watched that, I was not necessarily super interested in this game, but when I watched her play through the demo, I was like, oh, this actually looks really cool because it's not just running the cafe, like you can actually exit the cafe, like you're not bound to the cafe, and you can wander around town and like the description said, like you're befriending critters, you're kind of solving puzzles, like foraging and stuff like outside of the cafe management itself. And I think, yeah, this game just has more to it than I would have thought just from like looking at it at a glance and looking at the name. And that makes it very exciting to me. And I love the cute critters. I think the art style is, I don't know, it's interesting because at first glance I wasn't sure about it, but I feel like the more I look at it, and especially when I watched it being played, like the actual demo being played, I thought the art actually looked pretty cute and pretty good. So if you're also someone who's like unsure about it, just in general, if you're ever unsure about like how a game looks, I would definitely say like, you know, watch some actual gameplay. Don't just go off like trailers and images and stuff because you never know how you'll feel when you actually see it being played. Sometimes that can resonate with you differently, or like the way the art is portrayed in trailers and like in the images for the media might not be the way like it actually looks in game, if that makes sense, right? Okay, so that is November releases. Next, I would like to talk about October and like what I was playing in October / the first week of November. And I have a little mini review for you because I finished a game. This is where you all clap and cheer and applaud. Thank you. Yeah, I finished a game. I actually started this game in October too. So I started it in October and I finished it in October. It is Cat Cafe Manager. It's a game on Switch and PC. I played it on my Steam Deck just because I always play things on my Steam Deck now if it's not a Switch exclusive. but I believe it's supposed to run well on Switch. Don't take my word for that. If you are interested in it in Switch, definitely go check out some reviews for that. But let me tell you what I think. So, like I said, I've been very interested in exploring more cooking simmy type games lately. And this is the game that kind of kickstarted that, or is the game I started with when I started to feel that feeling in me. I was like, I really need to run a cafe right now. And so I was looking through my backlog like a responsible adult. I was like, no, I won't buy a new game because I think I have a game that can fulfill this cafe management craving. And I was correct. I have Cat Cafe Manager. I'd had it sitting there for a while, and it was actually between this game, Lemon Cake, and Calico. Like, those were the games that I had already owned that I knew I'd, like, kind of just had sitting in my library for a while. And I was like, it's their time to shine, because suddenly I just feel like cooking things in a game. So, yeah, this did not disappoint. I will say, this is not my first time picking up this game. So, I got this game, like, gosh, I'm not sure when I got it, but it was maybe a year ago or something, and it was sitting in my library, and I did try to play it before. And I remember when I did try to play it the first time, I think I got stuck very, very early on because I just couldn't figure out like how to build a door, which is like so funny. If you've like played this game, you know that's like one of the first things you have to do. So I basically barely made any progress because I was like, where do I build a door? How do I do a door? How do I walk inside? Um, so yeah, and I think I was just having one of those days where I was like, you know, some gaming sessions, when you're like trying a new game, you just need it to click instantly. And it's like, if it doesn't, then it's like, it's not personal. Like, maybe the game's a great game, but it's like, you're not doing it for me. Like, I can't do this today. Like, I don't have the brain cells for this. And I think that is what happened to me on that day. I was like, I literally cannot deal with this right now. I needed to understand this instantly, and you're not holding my hand, and I'm gonna have to, like, I'm gonna boot up a different game. So, anyway, that was my first experience with Cat Cafe Manager. So the first time I picked up this game, I always knew that I wanted to give it a second chance even after I dropped it because I knew it was more of like a it's not you, it's me kind of deal. So when I picked it up again last month, I was like, all right, let's give it another chance. And I'm so glad I did because it clicked. I figured out how to build an entrance or a door or whatever, and I continued. I will say, I do think like, I'm blaming myself and I'm saying I didn't have the brain cells. I wasn't in the mood to deal with that. But I do think probably they could have improved the tutorial a little bit more. Maybe handheld just like a teeny bit more, right? Like just a tiny bit. Because I feel like this game in general is really good about not like overloading you with the tutorial in the beginning. Like they just teach you things a little bit at a time. And also leave a lot up to you to figure out yourself anyway. So I feel like a little bit more would have helped in the beginning. Anyway, that's really my main constructive criticism for the game, because other than that, once I got into it, I really, really enjoyed this game. So, what is this game even? I've been talking about it for a while, but I haven't explained it. I mean, it's in the title. You're managing a cafe, and it's a cat cafe. So, there's like the Diner Dashy vibe where you are taking orders from customers and serving them, cooking things, and also taking care of the cats, right? And you can decorate your cafe, you can expand it, and you can fill it with things for your cats too, so that your cats are happy. So you have to make sure your customers are happy and your cats are happy. There's also this element of like luring cats to your cafe and befriending them over time so that you can finally adopt them. And yeah, there's all these like upgrades you can do over time too, where you like get to like add another staff member. So you can add staff members over time so it's not as manual and you don't have to run it all by yourself. And that's when it starts to get more like kind of, you just kind of get in the zone of it. This was a game that I really enjoyed playing while watching something in the background. I think I played this a bunch while watching, I think it was like the Vampire Diaries. I think I started watching that around the same time as playing this game. And it was like this was just a great game to play while watching something in the background. Side note, The Vampire Diaries is just such it's just such a funny show. I mean, I'm enjoying it a lot. I think it's just that I am a huge Buffy fan. If that's not clear, if you've seen my Halloween video, that might be clear because I unnecessarily bring Buffy into everything. But I do love Buffy so much, and The Vampire Diaries just like takes a lot from Buffy. So, but I Like, if you love the Vampire Diaries, that is awesome. And I'm enjoying it too, so I'm not saying I'm not enjoying it. I do feel like, though, it's a little less refined than Buffy is. Like, it's a little more lowbrow. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. Like, it is very enjoyable. It's a very silly show. I'm really enjoying getting through it. Getting through it makes it sound bad. But I'm enjoying watching it, but I probably wouldn't ever watch that show, like, full focus at this point in my life, right? Especially after having watched Buffy. I feel like I should have watched it before I watched Buffy. Anyway, Buffy tangent over. Cat Cafe Manager, excellent game for when you're watching something or you're listening to a podcast or an audiobook or anything like that. I think my favorite thing, if I had to say what I love about this game, it is that it's just the cats themselves. Like, there's some really cute cat designs. There's like a ghost cat, there's like a robot cat, there's so many cats, and I think they're all very adorable. The characters are cute too. I mean, there's no like deep story or anything, but there is like a little bit of a plot, and there are like these recurring characters that you can like get to know over time. I wouldn't say there were anything like super incredible or anything, but I think it was all light and fluffy, and I enjoyed the writing for what it was. I liked the dialogue with the characters. They were a cute cast. Yeah, and I played this game for like maybe like 12 or 13 hours, I think, and I finished it. I'm not usually a completionist unless I'm absolutely obsessed with a game. Even if I am completely obsessed, I'm not a completionist, honestly. So I'm sure if you were, you could get some more time out of it. But for me, I felt like I was done by the time I like finished the main arc of the story and just decorated my cafe a bit. And this is one of those games that I'm very moody when it comes to decorating, in the sense that sometimes a game can kind of just activate me and I can get all about the decorating. And in the past, I've played games purely for the decorating aspect. Like, for example, being into The Sims when I was a teenager, that was very much me just like building houses. Like, I just loved interior design. Or like fashion designing games too. Like, when I was a kid playing Animal Crossing, a big part of what I loved about it was just designing the clothes. But lately, I feel like I've been less interested or less motivated by decorating and more motivated by like character stories and just like the daily grind of like games like this. So I don't know what the point of that was, but I guess that's like more like my mindset. So I wonder if, because I feel like I see a lot of people talking about like, oh, like I'm into decorating, I love decorating in games, and then other people are like, oh, I'm not into that. I feel like I'm both, and I've noticed myself change over time, and I feel like it's just like a phase in my life where right now, lately, I've been less concerned with decorating in games, but I've also had periods of gaming where I've been like only cared about decorating. And I don't know what that is. I guess it's just me, exploring different interests within the gaming space too. But I do feel like I have this yearning to play something that reactivates that part of me that just like I want to make it all look pretty. I want to make it look cute. I want to make it look good. I want to design the heck out of this. Like, I am waiting for something to call that out of me, and we'll see if that happens anytime soon. Okay, I think that's enough about Cat Cafe Manager. And now I'm going to talk about what I'm currently playing. So this includes stuff that I was playing in October that I'm still playing and I haven't finished. And I have been playing a lot of games. I've actually been juggling a lot of games. I don't know if it's like too many. Like, I feel like it's okay, but I feel like if I add even one more, it's probably not going to be okay. But yeah, let me know, like, how many games do you tend to juggle at a time? I used to be someone that only played one game at a time, like full focus. But I feel like as an adult, I've enjoyed like hopping around more, and like I'm just a little more moody and a little more like I'm in the mood for this right now, and then the next day I'm like, this time I'm not. I feel like it's very related to my energy, honestly, and just like having adult responsibilities means like it helps for me to just have different games going on to fit my energy level. But I don't think it's just about energy. I don't know. But I have noticed that I've just like given into the urge to like just juggle a lot of games as an adult. I feel like when I was younger, I was very like laser focused on one game at a time. So anyway, as you can probably see on the screen, WitchSpring R. Oh my god, let's talk about it. So this game, I think this is one of the best RPGs like ever. I think this is severely underrated. And I'm not, what should I say? I think I've played a fair amount of RPGs in my time. I don't think I have been playing as many of them recently, which is why I was like, oh, I feel like I'm not maybe up to date on the most recent RPGs. There's definitely a bunch I want to play, like Dragon Age Veilguard. Hello. Would love to play that game, and also really, really dying to play the new Metaphor game by the people who made Persona. Anyway, um, I've always loved RPGs. They're a genre that I deeply, deeply love. And especially like I feel like as a teen, like RPGs what were sorry, bleh. RPGs are what like made me really just deeply fall in love and become obsessed with gaming, right? Some of my core gaming experiences I can think of were like playing Knights of the Old Republic for the first time and playing Dragon Age Origins on my crappy laptop. That it wasn't a crappy laptop, but it just wasn't a good gaming like machine, right? Um, like some of my most fond memories. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the most recent super RPG that I have played, but I finished Act 1 of that and I haven't gone back to it yet. Just because that game is like, I love that game, but it feels like I'm literally living another life when I play that game. Like I need to like be ready for that, and I think I'm just like taking a long pause before I play Act 2. Anyway, what the heck am I talking about? So WitchSpring R, yeah. So I just feel like it's severely underrated. So I was just trying to give you a sense, I guess, of like the different RPGs I've played and loved. Um, which not WitchSpring R. The Witcher 3 is another RPG that I've loved. And then RPGs that are more like along like the cozy, like typical cozy vibes. I'm sure a lot of you, if you are RPG fans and are cozy game fans, you might have heard of the Atelier series. If you haven't, go check that out. Um, the Atelier series, I was so excited to discover. I think I first played an Atelier game maybe like 3 years ago. I started with Atelier Ryza 1, then I played Sophie 2, and now I am playing Ryza 2, though I've taken a long break from it. So I did kind of fall off that game, but I'm hoping to get back into it eventually. But the Atelier series is a beautiful series, and I feel like it's perfect if you're looking for that cozy and RPG, like, I'm trying to do this with my hands, like the crossover of those two things. And before I thought that was like kind of like the only like obvious example I could think of like RPGs that just kind of have like these like not just cozy but like this like very like soft feminine like kind of aesthetic, um if you can call it that. And I don't mean like it's like feminine like it's for women or girls. I just mean like, it's girly, anyone can like it, regardless of your gender. But like I feel like the Atelier games are kind of giving me that vibe, and I feel like WitchSpring R, I don't. This feels like weird to say, but I feel like in some ways it does it better. Okay, so hear me out. I'm a big fan of the Atelier games I've played. They're like some of my favorite RPGs ever. But WitchSpring R, I just feel like respects me as a player so much. Like it has so many little mechanics. Oh, I feel like I should back up because I didn't really explain what WitchSpring R is. So WitchSpring R it's an RPG if you didn't realize, because I've been talking about RPGs as soon as this game came up. But it's an RPG where you play as like a little witch, Pieberry, and she's obsessed with pies and strawberries, which is why she named herself Pieberry. She kind of has this like darker backstory. Um, and you go on an adventure. She's like living out in the woods, and then stuff happens and you start exploring the world and you meet all these people, and there's a lovable cast of characters that you start to get to know, and you fight in these turn-based battles, and you can also tame pets. You can tame monsters and keep them as your pets. And you can ride them as mounts. What more could you ask for? So this game is just so, yeah, respectful of your time and like of your just like what you as the player would want. Let me give you an example. So for example, there's like an option for, I think if you've beaten certain mobs before, in an area. I'm not sure how exactly you unlock it, but at some point, if you've like fought the mobs enough in an area, you unlock like a quick hunting. option, so you don't have to jump into a whole battle to collect the resources from the monsters, because like collecting resources is a big part of this game, because you also have to like craft things. There's like a crafting element here, which is also why I compared this game to Atelier. Um, though the crafting in this game is definitely not as involved as Atelier, I will say that. But yeah, the quick hunting option, for example, lets you like just collect resources from monsters without like wasting your time going into a whole battle and like mashing buttons with like underpowered enemies just to get the resources. Another example is I don't know, like you know in some games if there's like a big mob of enemies and like they're all like the same type of enemy, they all attack one by one, right? In a lot of games, and it just takes forever to like go through that cycle until like it gets back to being your turn again in a turn-based game. But in WitchSpring R, if like there's a mob and like certain enemies are like of the same type, um they will all just attack at the same time. So they'll all just do a joint attack. So that way, instead of having to wait forever for like each enemy's turn to cycle through, it's like grouped by enemy type. Which I just think is so it's so great because it just makes it go by so much faster, because that's like the more tedious aspect of turn-based, where you're like kind of clicking through each enemy's turn waiting to see what they do until you can get to your own. But this game like shortens that wait period. And there's just so many more. Let me try to think if I can remember, because there's just so many examples. Oh yeah, there's also like a menu option where you can see, so enemies in this game, once you destroy them, they will respawn eventually, but there's like a timer on it, and you can actually go to a thing in your menu that just shows you like how much longer till an enemy respawns. So you don't have to like trek out all the way there to like, you know, various areas of the map just to see if an enemy's respawned yet, so you can collect like a resource you need from them. No, you can just check in your menu and then you'll know. So yeah, there's like a million examples I could give like this, but I feel like this game just has so much quality of life. And I really love that about it. But even aside from the mechanics, it's just like this game is surprisingly a game that has made me cry already. I haven't finished it yet. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through, like I'm a good way through now. And yeah, it made me cry. I mean, not like full on sob, but like I was tearing up at one part of the story. It just like hit really hard, and I feel like this game does a really good job of balancing like this lighthearted, cutesy vibe with like darker elements in the world and what's happening in the story. There's humor and there's tears and sadness. The game contains all of it, and I think it has a great sense of tone and pacing. And this wasn't a game that I was expecting to like be like, oh wow, I love the like story and the characters, but actually like I do. It feels like you're playing through like some sort of um, emotional like Ghibli film, almost, kind of. Yeah, because like it's very whimsical too, and like there's creatures that join, you know, your party. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, you have like, you know, various people that join you on your adventures, and it just feels very whimsical, and it's an interesting world, and there's interesting lore. I don't know, like I wasn't expecting to have all these things to say about this game, honestly. I think I underestimated it, especially because I heard that this game is actually, it's either a remake or it's a port or something. Maybe it's a port of like a mobile game, but because it was a mobile game first, I just assumed it would be like simpler um than it is, but I just feel like this game has so much going on, and I love all of it. So yeah, I highly recommend this game. I'm considering making a review of some sort, but I didn't really plan to review this game when I started playing it, so I haven't recorded that much footage, so I'm wondering if it makes sense to do it or not. But I just feel like I want to hype this game up more because I feel like it really deserves it. And I feel like if anyone asks me for a recommendation for like a cozy RPG, this is going to be my go-to suggestion from now on. And before, I think it would have been an Atelier game, but I think this has kind of become even more of a like a better recommendation in my mind, not just because of the quality of life features, but also just because it avoids some of the pitfalls that the Atelier games fall into, specifically the newer Atelier games. I think the Ryza ones, though the Sophie game kind of had this too, but like those games sometimes have fan service. They have like weird camera angles, let's say, that kind of just take me out of the experience and make me feel weird for no reason when I'm playing those games. I hope you can't hear that outside. There's like an announcement, like there's yelling from a van. I don't know. But yeah, this game just doesn't have any of that. So it's just like only good vibes. Like I literally can't think of like one thing I'd want to be different in this game. And I think that's rare, right? So yeah, that's WitchSpring R. The next game I've been playing is Sunhaven, and I'm so excited to be playing this game because this game has been sitting in my library for a while, and I have played it before in like small little chunks of a few hours, but I've always kind of put it down feeling like I'm not in the mood right now, but I know I'll be in the mood one day. And not for any reason. It's never been like, oh, I don't like this. I think I've just been like, whenever I've tried it, I've been like a little bit like, oh, I'm not ready to get into this right now. There's a lot going on in this game. It's like a big game. Also, because I've heard from other people that can be like hefty and overwhelming. So I think that was coloring my like willingness to get into the game because I wanted to make sure I had enough like time to make sure I'm like ready for it. But yeah, I think I have fully succumbed now to Sunhaven. Like I'm fully into it. I've been playing it very often. Like I'll just play like a couple of days at a time, some point in the evening. It's a really nice game to play like when I'm getting sleepy and just like sit on the couch. It's a nice game to play also when I have like something I want to watch in the background. It's very chill. I really, really love just the fantasy vibes. I'm obsessed with just how fantasy this game is and how much it leans into that. I think it's a fun world and it's got fun characters. I'm having fun getting to know everyone. I want to date everyone. I'm enjoying farming. I'm enjoying mining. I'm enjoying everything. And honestly, a big reason why I find this game so enjoyable is the fact that it has no stamina bar. Like, oh my god. Like, I hate stamina bars. I think there's a time and place. Like, it does make sense for certain games, don't get me wrong. But I think especially in this genre, and for me, playing this genre of game, like a farming game. Oh, Sunhaven is a farming game, by the way. It's a fantasy farming game, basically, if I had to sum it up. But yeah, for a farming sim, I think I'm definitely of the opinion that no, like I don't want a stamina bar unless you're using it in an interesting way or it's like a meaningful kind of consequence. But too often I feel like in farming games when I play them, the stamina bar just feels like an unnecessary punishment, especially to a newer player who's first getting into your game. Because usually those games have ways, I'm thinking of Stardew Valley or like even Coral Island, which I recently was also trying to get into. Those games have stamina bars and it feels so punishing at first when you're playing as a new player because it's just like you can barely do anything and you're like at your most excited to like explore the world and try all these activities and you can't because your stamina gets out really fast. And like, of course, ideally, you know, the whole point of the game is you progress and you build up your stamina or like you learn how to cook more things or whatever so you can like keep your stamina full, but that only happens if you stick with the game. So I feel like these games kind of end up losing people more quickly. I mean, it loses someone like me just because it makes that barrier to entry so high at the beginning of the game, if that makes sense. So yeah, big fan of Sunhaven's lack of stamina bar, big fan of the fantasy vibes. I'm enjoying it. I'll maybe speak on it more if I keep playing. Now I want to talk about Sonic Frontiers. Okay, so I don't know if these games, like this game or Sonic in general, if they're cozy games. I definitely think they are nostalgic comfort food type games for me, like the Sonic series in general. So I will be talking about Sonic a little bit on this podcast probably because I am someone who was raised on Sonic. I grew up watching Sonic X obsessively and playing a bunch of Sonic games like Sonic Heroes. I had one of the Sonic games on my first little game console, which was a Game Boy Advance that was pink. And I had Sonic Rush. I used to play Sonic Heroes with my best friend when I was a kid. And Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, my best friend had, and I would go over to her place and play it on her GameCube. And it was that a GameCube game? Yeah, I think so. And that game I was just obsessed with. I mean, that game had a Chow Garden. Hello. When are we going to get, like, the official Chow Garden game? I don't know. Maybe never. But yeah, that's the context for why like I don't regularly play Sonic games anymore, but I think I've been meaning to go back eventually and check them out because I heard about Sonic Frontiers release. It's like the latest, or it's the second latest Sonic game to release. Um, and I knew I wanted to play it, but I think last month was finally the time I decided to pull the trigger because this game was on sale along with Sonic X Shadow Generations being released for the first time. I also bought that already. I bought it on release because I am planning to play it and finish it, and finish Sonic Frontiers hopefully by the time the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie comes out featuring Shadow on December 20th, I think. So yeah, I am like fully leaning back into this my Sonic mania, I guess. So Sonic Frontiers, what can I say? Hey, I mean, if you like open world games, if you're like a Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom type girly, um, you might like Sonic Frontiers. I'm like, it's got cozy aspects. Okay, like you're exploring a world. It's got this like interesting atmosphere that feels kind of um, like it's very serious, like the world. I don't know how to describe it. Like it's the world is like a little bit different feeling from other Sonic games. It's not as cartoony. It's like you're out on this like strange island and it's very atmospheric kind of vibes, but you're also playing as these like colorful, I mean, he's a blue hedgehog. So there's that interesting dissonance that I like. It's actually one of the reasons I was drawn to the game. I heard someone like compare it to like Death Stranding in like its atmosphere, which is a very random comparison, but if you know that game, that's why I wanted to try this game. It's open world. I think the best part of this game, though, to be fair, if I'm being honest, is not the open world. It is the cyberspace levels that are more like traditional Sonic levels where you're just running really fast. Some of them are 3D, some of them are 2D. They're all great. Also, the music in this game is so good. Oh my god, the boss music and the cyberspace music, I'm a big fan of. Like, I think the soundtrack is incredible. No notes. Like, I've always loved Sonic game soundtracks. I feel like they have great music, great composers. Like, they are killing it. Like, no notes. Even when the games are a letdown, like, the songs are always banging. So, yeah, that's Sonic Frontiers. I have not finished it. To be clear, like, I think I finished one out of all 5 islands that the game has. Like, you jump around different islands during the game. I'm on the desert island now. And yeah, I will be continuing to play, and I hope to finish it by the end of November. We'll see how that goes. Now, another game I've been playing on and off for like the last few months actually is Palia. And Palia, it's interesting because I wasn't sure if this would be a game that would kind of stay in my rotation, but it really has because I just naturally gravitate back to it. It's one of my favorite go-to games for if I'm having a day where I'm like, I just need to freaking relax and I don't want to think too much. I just want a chill game to exist in. And I also think I love it because it's like a nice warm-up game. Like sometimes I boot up Palia and play it for a little bit, even just for like 20 minutes, and then I'll like go play something else that's a little more demanding of like my time and my brain power, I guess. But Palia is a really lovely like warm-up game. I don't know. It's just really good. I love it. I don't know. Like I guess I sound surprised because I just wasn't sure if I'm not really into the idea of playing online MMOs at this point in my life. Like, I used to love MMOs. I grew up playing World of Warcraft and Toontown Online. I might do a whole video on Toontown Online, honestly, because that was like a hyperfixation for me when I was a kid. I was obsessed. I think it's an incredible game. I think it's an incredible cozy game. I miss it. Yeah, anyway. That's Toontown Online. But yeah, since becoming like a teenager, becoming an adult, I haven't really played MMOs and haven't been drawn to that just because I feel like I'm a lot more wary of playing online games now. I don't know. I get like nervous about it. Like even in Palia, to some extent, like I just play it mostly as like a single player game almost. And I get a little bit nervous. I don't know, just with online games nowadays in general. I don't really have a reason why. It's not like I've personally had a bad experience, but I think just knowing about other people's bad experiences makes me like more wary. of online gaming communities or games with online functionality. Sorry, I just turned off, like, I had this little timer going to tell me how long. Apparently I've already been going for an hour, so I should probably get going. I'm gonna reset this. But yeah, if you need a game to just turn your brain off to, I think Palia is great. I think one of the reasons I keep going back to it is because the world, to me, the sound design and the music especially, combined with like the art style too to some extent. I played on Steam Deck and it looks pretty good on there. It just feels so peaceful. I feel like they really nailed that. It feels like a very peaceful, very chill world, and I really enjoy being in it. Also, even though I'm like, a vegetarian in real life and would never want to harm an animal, I really enjoy hunting in the game. I just think it's a really meditative activity. It's my favorite activity to do. I think it's just satisfying, like aiming and then like chasing prey down, I guess. So, yeah, I love it. The other game that I've been playing is Stray. So I mentioned Stray in a recent video too. I think one of my Halloween videos. And I said that I had not finished it yet only because I'm playing it with my partner and we kind of have to like schedule time to like play it together and make sure we're both in the mood for it. But yeah, we recently like picked it back up again to finish. Like we're aiming to finish it soon by the end of the year, hopefully. It's not a very long game. It's just that we usually play it in like, an hour-long session or something at a time. And I've been really enjoying playing more of it. It's an incredible game. The only thing that I don't like about it is I'm not a fan of the puzzles in this game, and I'm not really a fan of the stressful sections where you have to like run and escape something, or there's enemies coming to get you. Like there's some stealth sections that I had to play with the part we're in right now, and to me, like, the beauty of this game is just exploring the world and just being a cat, to be honest, and I don't really need any of the other stuff. I guess maybe they put it in there. I mean, like, maybe other people like that kind of stuff. They like that challenge. It's not that I'm against challenge. I like some games that are challenging, but I think Stray is just not a game I play for that. So I kind of wish there was a mode where you could just turn that off, or like you could skip certain sections if you like kept failing, like the game would just let you skip it, because that's not what I'm playing the game for. Okay, so now it's chit chat time. I mean, we've already been chitting and chatting, but this is like the section where I figured each time I do an episode, I will choose a specific topic to deep dive in. And this time I wanted to talk about Infinity Nikki and what my impressions are of Infinity Nikki from very briefly playing it, and I will explain why it was so brief. And also my hopes and fears surrounding this series. So let me have a little sip of my drink before I get into this. So Infinity Nikki, I played because I got access to play it in the beta. So, quick rundown of Infinity Nikki if you don't know what it is. It's a cozy exploration fashion focused game. If you've heard of like the Love Nikki or Shiny Nikki games, this is another game made for the same series, I guess. And this one is open world, and you collect fashion and you do cozy little quests, and there's little puzzles and stuff, and it just looks like such a good time. I'm extremely excited for this game. In fact, this is probably the game that I'm most excited for right now out of any game I can think of right now. Like, this is the game that I'm most excited for. I talked about this game a bunch in my last episode because I saw the booth at Tokyo Game Show, even though I didn't get to actually play it. But if you want to hear me like just babble about how excited I was to see Infinity Nikki there, you can go check out that episode. But since then, I have gotten a chance to play. So they had a beta test. They're actually doing a beta right now for like PlayStation people, I think, like PlayStation 5. But that's like a closed, like it's a private beta. Like I don't think people are allowed to like post or say anything about it. But before that, last month, they did a beta for people on iOS, PC, like various devices. I signed up for iOS, which was a mistake, but I'll get into that. And yeah, you had like a 2-week period to play. And I was so excited. Like I put it on my calendar and I was like, this is all I'm going to be doing outside of work. outside of whatever commitments I had, I was like, the only thing I'm going to be doing is playing Infinity Nikki. Unfortunately, that did not come to be because Infinity Nikki ran terribly on my device. So I actually used my iPad for the playtest. Like, that's what the device I signed up with. I'm wondering now if it would have been better to sign up with my phone because I have an Android, and I'm like, maybe it would have run better. But I feel like from what I read from other people's experiences, it might have not run very well on my phone either because I don't have like a super, super new high-end phone. It's a decent smartphone. It's like a Google Pixel 6, but I don't know if that would have been good enough because I heard the game actually has had some trouble running on mobile devices. And yeah, it ran pretty horribly on my iPad. I don't have like a brand spanking new iPad. It's not an iPad Pro, but it's still like, it's not that old, you know? It's like, I don't know, it's like a 2 or 3 year device. So I thought it would have run better. But it didn't run very well. So basically what happened is I was able to play through the whole tutorial, or I think it was the whole tutorial, because it was like I was able to play just to the point where I like entered kind of the main world town area, like Miraland, I guess. But at that point it just started crashing so often that I couldn't, like, it just became kind of silly for me to keep trying to play it. Like it crashed like upwards of 25 to like 30 times. Like I was counting and I was like, this is kind of silly at this point. It's crashing every 5 minutes. Let's give it up. But I did try. I tried so many times because I was so excited. But in total, I would say I probably played about an hour and a half to 2 hours of the game. So I did get to play something. And the performance wasn't great on my iPad, but I won't judge that too harshly because I'm assuming they're going to make the optimizations and fixes needed to make sure it can run on as many devices as possible. I certainly hope so. Because I currently would only be able to play it on my iPad or my phone, though I really want a gaming PC, and honestly, the fact that this game is coming out soon, we don't know when, but soon, like sometime in the next few months, I'm hoping. Knowing that this game is coming out motivates me to want to like get together the money to set up a gaming PC faster, and I'm like trying to see if I can make that happen, if I can like maybe prioritize that over other things, because I've always wanted to build a gaming PC, but it always feels like it's not necessary, but Infinity Nikki might make it necessary. I don't know. I would also need that PC for other things, to be clear. Like I also want to like get into streaming and stuff, so I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm not just getting a gaming PC for Infinity Nikki, but Infinity Nikki is making me want to speed up my plans in terms of getting one. And I say get one because I'm probably going to go pre-built, but I don't know. If you have any recommendations with regards to gaming PCs, let me know. So if I had to sum up my impressions, like barring the performance, I enjoyed the vibes. Like I think the game felt really cute, really pretty. Like it was everything I wanted in terms of just the atmosphere. The music was really good. I felt like I noticed the music because I was like, this music's good. The sound, the music and the sound design, the visuals, if it hadn't been for the horrible performance, like I feel like it would have looked amazing. I've seen other people's gameplay videos, so I know it looks amazing. Unfortunately, it didn't look that great for me. But I got a little bit into like the crafting mechanics. I got to make some outfits, do some like platforming in the tutorial, and just like fiddle around with like the basics of the game. I got to like make some wishes too, because this is a gacha game. And yeah, I don't think I have too much to say because it was really just tutorial stuff. One thing I was very pleasantly surprised about, and I'm very glad, I think it's a must-have, is that they had skin colors, like different tones. I actually thought you could only be like fair-skinned in the game based on the promo, but there's actually 3 different skin tones of varying range, but I hope they add a ton more because I do feel like that's really important. And I know Nikki herself is like a set kind of character, but I feel like it's a fashion game and it's like all about customizing yourself. And being that kind of game, I feel like it is important to give people as many options as possible for skin tones and just like really like kind of feeling like they can make Nikki look how they want them to look. And yeah, I really loved that there was such a wide range of like the different types of things you could accessorize with. Like there were so many different categories. I recorded some stuff when I was playing on my iPad, but like I said, the performance was so bad, like if I showed you that footage, it would look terrible, so I don't think there's any point. But basically, what I played just made me even more excited to play more, and even more sad that it wasn't running well enough on my iPad that I could play. Like, I was so jealous of the people who got to play during the whole beta. I was on the Discord reading everyone's thoughts, and I was just so jealous. But it's okay. My time will come. And the thing I wanted to talk about here with Infinity Nikki wasn't just like what I thought about the game, because I didn't get to play too much of it yet, and I'm just eagerly awaiting a release now, like everyone else. We don't know when it's going to come out, by the way. Some people are speculating December because I think on the PlayStation Store it says it's going to release on December 4th or 5th, but that is not a release date. From what everyone's saying, that's just a placeholder. The devs, the studio, they haven't said anything official yet, so we really, truly don't know. That's just placeholder. But I am really like hoping it would be December. I think that would be great. But I do have some like worries about this game too. And I've heard some other creators, like when I watched their videos covering the content, kind of mention this. I think I've seen people talk about it in the subreddit, maybe. And it really resonated with me, like this fear that people have. Basically with the kind of audience that Infinity Nikki will draw. So Infinity Nikki has all these like this girly, like feminine aesthetic, right? And I think that it really appeals to cozy gamers, right? Like I've seen a lot of cozy game creators talking about this game and covering it. And that's great. But it also appeals to people who like gacha games. And if you don't know what a gacha game is, a gacha game basically involves it's basically like gambling, but it's like legal gambling because you're paying for like some sort of in-game currency that then lets you like wish on certain in-game things. Like for example, let's take Genshin Impact, which is a really popular gacha game that I was into for a while. In that game, you can get this in-game currency and then use that to make wishes to unlock different characters in the game. And you don't have to pay for it necessarily. Sometimes there's in-game ways to grind for that currency, whatever it is. Like in Genshin, you can get some of that for free. I only ever spent like, I think $5 on Genshin once when I first started playing, just because I was excited and I wanted to like catch up to like my sister who was also playing. But I never spent money on it ever again, even though I spent many, many, many more hours playing Genshin, because thankfully I was just kind of able to be like, no, you don't need to spend money, it's okay. But I do think there's always a danger with gacha games, which Infinity Nikki always is, that you could get carried away and spend a lot of your money, right? And they might be... I mean, gacha as a mechanic is kind of inherently... Well, I don't know. Is it inherently predatory? I feel like it is, because, I mean, it is kind of trying to psychologically manipulate you into buying more, like putting actual money into the game. But a lot of these games are like free, and technically you could play it completely for free, so you could argue like it's a free game, like what's the problem? All of the money you spend is voluntary. But I think the thing that makes it predatory is just the way that it's monetized, right? It's just the fact that it is a gambling type thing. Like it's not like you can pay for a specific character in Genshin, for example. You have to pay to get something to then roll a dice, basically, to see if you'll get a character that you'd even want. I think that's the part I don't like about gacha. But it is also part of the fun. I mean, I know for some people, like, that's an exciting element, and I do kind of understand that, too, to a degree. Like, if you're someone who just likes to, you know, play real-life gacha machines, and see what you get, see what's inside, lucky draw, like, I can see why that's appealing. I think it's just dangerous when it involves, like, a game that you play long term that can potentially take money from you over time, and you might not even realize how much you're spending over time. Now, Infinity Nikki's a gacha game, so I'm not personally worried about whether I'll spend too much money on Infinity Nikki, because I feel like, thankfully, I don't really have the kind of, just like, inclinations to get kind of addicted to that kind of spending in a game. You know, I definitely sometimes spend too much on games, but I think I'm very much like if I'm going to spend money on gaming, why don't I just buy a new game type of person? But I know that's not the case for everyone. And that's probably just because I also like to like play a lot of different games, and I tend to favor games that, like, I tend to favor games that I can finish, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, Palia is an exception right now. It's like a live service game that I'm playing, which is why I'm surprised that I've been playing it and kind of stuck with it for so long. Like, I think I've put 80 hours into it, which is more than I'd ever, like, expected to spend playing Palia. I thought I'd just, like, briefly try it and move on. So Infinity Nikki, I'm curious to see how I feel about it, because I would love it to be a game that I play long term, kind of like Palia, and just like play it over time and stick with it and watch it as it grows. I think it would be so fun to be part of a community in that way. My fear also is the community, because I put like hopes and fears on this like slide. I don't know if you can see it. So yes, I have fears around the gacha thing, not necessarily for me specifically, but just like for how that would affect other people. But the other big fear for me is just the community. Coming back around, I think I made like a massive tangent, but like gacha games, right, attract a specific community of players, people who play other gacha games. I'm someone who's played other gacha games like Genshin Impact, so I'm also talking about myself. But some gacha games out there very much, how do I say, like they like objectify female characters. Sometimes they objectify underage female characters even. It's horrible stuff. And I think they appeal to a crowd that now I can see kind of rushing in to try Infinity Nikki. And it's weird seeing people like that play a game like Infinity Nikki and try to kind of project that kind of view on Infinity Nikki. And I've seen other people talk about this too, and how they dislike how some people are covering Infinity Nikki with a very like trying to objectify Nikki kind of vibe, which feels icky, especially to people who are like long-term fans of the Infinity or just the Shiny Nikki, Love Nikki like kind of world, and like feel attached to this character. She's like a character they identify with maybe, or feel like, you know, like protective over, and then like there's these people like trying to be creepy and like look up Nikki's skirt or something, you know, like it feels icky, for lack of a better word. And I totally get that. Like I would hate that. I mean, I don't have any sort of attachment to Nikki as a character, but just I also am disliking kind of some of the coverage I'm seeing where people are just talking about the game this way. Like on one hand, there's just these people jumping and leaping at the chance to like objectify any female character they see. Like they just cannot let a female character be. Like she must be an object to them for them to sexualize. Otherwise, what's the point? You know, that's like the mindset of some people, and I hate that. On the other hand, there's also like the people who are kind of like, oh, this game is so girly. Like, I'm embarrassed. Like, does this make me gay? Like, kind of like manly man like attitude coming in playing this game too. And to like that, like part of me is like, you're being silly. Like, come on, dude. Like, you can enjoy a game with a lot of pink and frilly dresses. Like, get over it. Like, anyone can enjoy this game. But on the other hand, I like understand like there is a lot of social pressure, especially depending on the communities you're part of, to conform to certain social norms. That shouldn't be norms, in my opinion. Like, you know, men playing girly frilly things. So I hope, if anything, like if this game can like bring some people some clarity and some open-mindedness for them to realize, like, you know, maybe they like playing, you know, like just like a very stereotypically feminine, stereotypically girly game like this. And if that like kind of just opens their mind a little bit, I think that's awesome and very cool. On the other hand, I do feel like it's disheartening to still in the year of our Lord 2024 to hear people kind of just associating femininity with in this case, like with gaming, like associating femininity with just like lack of quality, lack of depth, lack of like compellingness, and just kind of assuming that because Infinity Nikki is a game that's so feminine and girly and its aesthetics, that it can't be like a phenomenal game, is disheartening to hear, because yeah, I just feel like I just can't escape, you know, these conversations. Like I've been a lifelong gamer. I studied game design. I've like had these conversations so many times with people and like talked about like this, lack of regard and the lack of just taking um how should I say, like certain demographics gaming interests seriously, whether it's like what women like to play, girls like to play, but also like that's a stereotypical thing, right? Like you can be a woman and a girl and hate stereotypically feminine aesthetics. That is your right. And that is also what women like, right? Like women also like things that are not feminine in a stereotypical way. Um, but it's just like in our culture, and this isn't, I'm not saying anything revolutionary, I'm just parroting things that I've learned, but we tend to hold masculine things up as if they are better and put down feminine things. And I just see that happening with Infinity Nikki, especially in the space it occupies in comparison to other gacha games. And I just hate to see that. And it makes me just want to root for it even more. Like, I really want to see it win. I want to see it be everything it can be. Sorry, my partner just came home, and so I forget exactly what I was saying. But I guess the point is that I think Infinity Nikki has this incredible opportunity, but also this incredible challenge because of the space that it occupies, in that it is a gacha game, but it's also a very different type of gacha game than any other one that I'm aware of on the market. And I think that both makes me like very, very excited and like very hopeful that it's just gonna be a massive success. Um, but it also makes me really worried that it will just be dragged down by one, like maybe a community, by pandering to a larger audience, an audience that might not want the things that, cozy gamers want. I'm worried that that could happen and potentially make it a game that I wouldn't want to play. For example, I guess a great example of pandering, I think, is with the Atelier games that I talked about before. If you look up Atelier Ryza, I love Atelier Ryza. It's the first Atelier game I played, like number one, and it's one of my favorite games for sure. But you can see, like, with every new game in that series they release, for the Ryza series specifically, they're like increasingly sexualizing Ryza, which just feels like weird because it doesn't feel like it's something that's part of her character. It feels like it's very much pandering to the male gaze and a certain audience that they want to appeal to with their marketing. And in the game too, it's not just in the marketing. Like the games too, like I said, have like weird fan service. They had weird camera angles and shots, and to someone like me, like it just takes me out of the game and it makes me feel weird. And I have even dropped games, not specifically that game, but I've dropped other games just because I couldn't deal with all the weird objectification, or in the case of other games like misogyny or homophobia or whatever, like those things turn me off a game. And I think it's pretty clear why that should be. Like, I mean, it's upsetting to see those things in games, and of course, like, it's fine to have those things in games if it's trying to make like a larger point about it. But when it's presented in a game because the game itself is actually agreeing with it, like the game itself is promoting objectification of women against their will, then that doesn't make me feel good, and I don't like that, because I am trying to escape real life most of the time with gaming, not trying to remind myself what I'm trying to escape from. So I don't know if I explained this very well, but those are my thoughts with Infinity Nikki, and I am really, really rooting for it to do well, and I'm really, really excited to get involved with the community. The other thing I forgot to say, regards to like community, gacha games and stuff, as I said, I played Genshin Impact, and I think that is a game that I'm repeatedly driven away from because of some aspects of the community, if I'm being honest. And there's so many times when I've considered getting back into Genshin, and I haven't, because I've just like gone online, engaged with the community again, remembered what that felt like, and just like kind of got icked out of it. Specifically to do with like just the way people sexualize certain characters or talk about them, and like obviously I don't have to engage with that stuff. I know I could just play the game. I don't have to go online. But the thing is, like, gaming for me is something where I really like to engage with the community, even if I'm just lurking, because I am a massive lurker a lot of the time. But, like, to me, it still feels like I'm engaging even when I'm, like, just reading and following certain spaces online for a game. And I love to do that. When I love a game, I will, I will be on the subreddit, I'll be on the Discord. I love seeing what other people think. That's why I love YouTube as well, and, like, the YouTube gaming space. So when a game, like, can't provide that sense of, like, a community because the community is too toxic for me to really, like, get involved with, it definitely drives me away from the game, because I feel like that's the biggest reason why I keep considering, like, re-downloading Genshin and getting back into it, and then I'm just like, no, never mind, I don't want to deal with that right now. Especially right now, like, there's a lot, there's things going on in the world. If you were in America last week, I'm not American, but part of my cultural identity is American, and I am feeling for all my loved ones in America. Um, real life has enough, you know, bullshit to deal with, so I don't feel like I should have to deal with that in my free time as a hobby. And to sum up this section, I guess I just hope that Infinity Nikki can be an escape for me. I hope the community that we build with it will be a beautiful one and a cozy one and a welcoming one for everyone. And I'm just really, really excited for this game, which is why I keep talking about it and, like, wanting to talk about different things regarding it, just because I need it to be out right now. Okay, so I wanted to do something every episode and, like, kind of shout out a creator that I've just discovered or been enjoying watching. There's so many cozy gaming creators that I like to watch in this space. Today I want to shout out this channel. They're called Emoji. I'll probably link to their channel in the video description so you can check them out from there. But basically, they made this really in-depth video about cozy game releases in November. It's like 50 minutes long, and that's just, like, the longest I've seen for this kind of format, and I was like, let me check that out. And it was so helpful, especially for me preparing for this video for the November releases section. I was like, oh, I want to, like, see if I missed any games, like what games are coming out that I'm not aware of. And I feel like this list was just, the video that this person created was super comprehensive, and made me discover a lot of games that I wasn't aware of before, like Debut Project, for example. So yeah, I highly recommend checking them out because it seems like they make a lot of other lists like that look really interesting. I recently subscribed to them, and I'm really excited to keep watching them. So for next time, I just chose, like, a discussion topic this time because I really wanted to talk about, Infinity Nikki and kind of just, like, chat about games I've been playing and what I've been thinking about them. But I would also love to talk about, like, any questions or topics that you'd like me to consider and chat about. So if you have any suggestions for topics to cover in future bubchi babble episodes, or if you have any questions for me, I would love to answer them in future videos. So just let me know. Feel free to sound off in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you want to watch the last episode of this podcast specifically, if you are enjoying this long form content and you want more, feel free to check out the previous one where I talk about my experience going to Tokyo Game Show. I cover, like, a bunch of games and demos that I got to play there. So there's lots of games to discover if you're looking for, like, new cozy games to put on your radar. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!